DK.
Thrift store.
Afternoon, and welcome to Sunday Brunch with Higher Heights. I am Glenda Carr, president and co-founder. We are here with just 36 days into the end of voting, y'all. Election day is November 5th. We are in the final drive, not only to ensure that we are electing a president that will move this country forward, but we need to ensure that we are prepared to vote for those vying for Black women's votes from the Senate, the House of Representatives, statewide offices, citywide offices across this country. And so on today's Sunday brunch menu, it's full. First of all, I am in my hometown where I was born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut. It is where my mother put me in her car when I was 18, drove me to the Hartford City Hall and registered me to vote. And until the day she died, she called me and my brothers to ensure we had a vote plan. And so that is what the final drive is going to be. We're going to ensure that we are taking care of our house, our block, our church, our sorority, and our union to make sure they're voting. But then also, if you got a little time, volunteer across this country to make sure that Black women win. And so today, y'all, she is got an amazing prime time special this evening called Black Women in America, The Road to 2024. And so we are all going to head over to MSNBC and support Simone Sanders Townsend this evening. I also had an opportunity to sit down earlier today with the newest member of Congress, the new congressional member from the great state of New Jersey, LaMonica McIver, who was just sworn in. And we'll be able to talk to her. Then, as you know, we hit the streets last week hard in Michigan, was in Detroit, drove all the way to Saginaw, and we sat down with Black women voters. And so you will hear from our very own Ebony Taylor, the Vice President of Programs, as she sits down with Black women voters from a key battleground state. So let's get started. One, where are you watching from? Is this your first time or is this your 100th time? I am sitting down with my girl in a quiet space, and then I'm going to end at our hashtag Black Women Lead Day party here in Connecticut. So let me welcome Simone Sanders Townsend, the co-host of MSNBC's weekend morning program called The Weekend, which airs on Saturdays and Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. So make some noise in the chat for Simone.
Greetings. Hi, Glenda. You know what? Can't nobody say you don't do the work because you have a party going on in the back. You on the Zoom here. The Zoom is on the party. It's amazing. So, long-time listener, first-time caller. It's not my first brunch. It's just my, first appearance here at the brunch. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, and I think you're a unique conversation today for a variety of reasons. Here is a woman talking about putting in the work. Her resume reads like she's a 65-year-old, which is actually inspiring for the young women that watch this. We're like, how can I want to be a political operative. I want to, volunteer. I want to be on TV, all the things that you hear. But this is a unique, I think you sit at the intersection of all the conversations. You've worked on multiple presidential campaigns. You also worked for the vice president. And was very instrumental in really being the architect for this moment. My theme this cycle is we were built for this moment. Black women leaders have been built for this moment. Women like you, who we are the go-to trusted resource on TV. And frankly, as you know, she pops off on that social media. You are built for this moment around combating mis and disinformation. And this evening, I think it is a great opportunity. The brothers led the way. Charles Coleman, one of your colleagues, have been on the Sunday brunch. We don't often let, the brothers on.
I was surprised when Charles got invited to the brunch. I was like, okay, I watched. It was good. It was good.
It was good.
And he had a lot of, Charles and Tremaine, they did Black Men in America. And it's because of how just very thoughtful their project was and how smart it was for them to pitch that, this is something that needs to take a look at, that opened the door for Melissa and I to be able to do Black Women in America. So shout out to Charles and Tremaine for sure.
Well, share a little bit about how you gathered with Melissa, and how you even just decided how the format was going to be, and then share this a little bit because you hit the road. It wasn't just people came to the studio. You actually went, and not only you talked, I always talk about Black women political leaders. You talked to the color girls, but you also talked to the political leader, which is the woman or the head of a household around voting. So share a little bit about your process.
Yes, we're so excited. So, you all familiar with Black Men in America? They went across the country, talked to different groups of Black men, just to get their perspective on this election. And so Black Women in America, our format was very similar. So we wanted to have a good mix of, what in the political world we call real people, i.e. not strategists and operatives, as Glenda knows very well. So we went to actually the weekend right after that first debate between Trump and President Biden. We went to Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, which is situated in Montgomery County. And Montgomery County is one of those key counties in Pennsylvania. From 2016 to 2020, Democrats netted 40,000 more votes in this one county, and it made the difference for Joe Biden winning the state, and obviously went on to win the presidency. And he won only Pennsylvania by 1 percentage point. Well, what people may not know is, I know we know, Glenda, because we're the people, but Black women live in the suburbs. And you would think, as you listen to people on television, or you listen to these podcasts or the radio, or you watch or you read some of the coverage, that when they talk about the suburbs, they are talking about white women exclusively, when the suburbs have become more diverse over the last 20 years. So it's very important to Melissa and I to get the perspective of Black women from across the gamut, intergenerational. So one of our conversations you'll see tonight is from the suburbs of an affluent suburb in Pennsylvania of Black women talking about the issues. It's an intergenerational conversation. So we've got some varied perspectives. We might even have a Republican. Y'all gonna have to tune in to see what's going on there. And then we also had a conversation at my nail shop in Washington, D.C., with some women, one of whom is actually voting in North Carolina this year. She lives in North Carolina. She happened to be in town for us. Another young woman who most recently lived in North Carolina, now lives in Washington, D.C., and a young lady named Diamond, who's holding it down for all the young people that are like, I'm voting regardless. So that conversation I thought was very, very important. Melissa was kind of shook by it. She said this morning on the weekend, because there were some folks in there that said that they weren't sure that before the switch, as they were calling it, from Biden to Vice President Harris, they weren't sure if they weren't voting. And now they don't know if they're going to vote. So tune in for that conversation. We get their perspective. Melissa and I, we're just kind of like, well, what do you need to vote? And it's a really rich conversation. Then yes, we talked to the colored girls, the OGs, as I like to say, who paved the way so women like me could have a job, to be honest. Like, there would be no me without the colored girls. And that conversation was so special. You'll see a snippet of it today. And then we'll put that up as a longer form conversation, hopefully on Peacock, for folks to tune in to soon, because it was the best 35 minutes I've had all year in terms of conversation. And shout out to the colored girls. Kerry Washington dropped by, or we went to Kerry. We had to take our road trip to Hollywood. And then also Melissa went to the Howard Law School, and she had the most amazing conversation with Cheryl Eiffel, obviously OG civil rights defender, I like to say, and Janae Nelson, who is the current president and director counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, because this is an election where the legal and the political are colliding. So we ran the gamut, and we just wanted to dispel some of the myths about Black women, Glenda. People think they know us. They think they have us pegged. They don't think they need to earn the votes of Black women. And what we gleaned from the number of conversations we had, we went down to Essence Fest. I cannot forget about that. And we had the opportunity to speak with women there, as well as the editor-in-chief of Essence, Caroline Wanga. So it is something you do not want to miss tonight.
Yeah, so just like we gather for Sunday brunch, this evening is about a couple of things. One, please post. You can go to Higher Heights social medias and repost what we have, but we need to ensure, as you know, a lot of people know where to find Simone on the weekends. We need to make sure they know where to find her and this great program this evening. And it will re-air. There'll be a ton of clips. We need to uplift it. I've been struggling on a couple of things, Simone. Well, let me go back. So Simone is going to bring me one day to do something other than my white nails. I'm going to be bold in my,
You know,
my nail
I did
salon.
these myself, by the way, Glenda. I've been so busy. Yes, I bought a
You
kit,
got to
ladies,
do
trust Black women. I got a kit and everything.
is that just like men talk about politics in the barbershops, I think is more important in these next 36 days as we go. Like, I'm going to get my nails done at least twice, two more, that we use all of these opportunities at our faith institutions,
Mm-hmm.
at our, PTAs, that we should use those opportunities. So I love the fact that you went to a nail salon, because we do spend, like yesterday, I was like, girl, I don't need to be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's white.
But I'm here.
It's
But I'm
white.
here. I mean, that's why, I haven't seen my nail lady actually since we filmed this segment
She's
you'll
like, where
see
you
tonight.
at?
She's
Where you
gonna be
at?
looking for me. I'm like, look, I've been on the road, so I had to buy a kit, but I'm going to nail shop and this is over because my feet need help. So, but
Yeah.
it
So
is a gathering place, and frankly, we wanted to hear from Black women, Glenda, because everybody talks about Black women, but there are not a lot of people talking to Black women. And I think if more within the media apparatus talk to Black women, I think that the picture will be a little more clear. And the picture that emerged for Melissa and I was twofold. One, the economy is important to Black women. It is the thing that we are thinking about as our families. We're also thinking about the democracy. Melissa and I didn't even have to bring up the democracy issue. It came up in its own conversation, Project 2025, the Supreme Court. But then the second thing is that there seems to be a generational divergence, if you will. I don't want to say a divide, but there's a generational divergence. And yeah, we spoke to millennial Black women as well as Gen Z Black women. I'm a millennial. I'm 34, okay? The oldest millennials are 43, 44 this year. The youngest millennials are 27. Everybody under 27 is Gen Z. And my millennial sisters and the Gen Z voters were much more, a little more skeptical of just the electoral process. Some believed that their vote didn't even matter, and they were regular participants. And it was disconcerting, and I think it was very jarring for Melissa, who is a little bit older than me, even though she looks like a fresh 28, honey. It's the skincare is popping. And Melissa said, she said, I really think this really boils down to how the lack of civics has dovetailed into everything that we do, because we talked, some of the disappointment that some of the younger voters noted was about the lack of student loans, or and we said, okay, but Biden did student loan reform, but the Supreme Court blocked it, and they were just like, I don't know anybody who got their loans forgiven. And so there's this disconnect between what the president can do and what the president cannot do. But then some of the younger women were also very optimistic, and I think they had some of the most poignant analysis, frankly, about the glass cliff that a President Harris would stand on. So I just think it's important to see the full view, and we don't need to shame. I know Charles, when he came to the Sunday brunch, he said this, and I absolutely agree with Charles 1,000%. You have to understand where the voters are and meet them where they are. You can if you want to shame the voters and tell them that they don't know what they're talking about and they're wrong, I don't think that's going to net any votes on election day or before in early voting. And the most important thing people who work in electoral politics can do is listen to people, listen to voters and what they're saying, and meet them where they are for the conversation. And then that, I think, will galvanize them to get them to the polls.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The other, I think, takeaway from this is the ability that we actually had honest conversations with a trusted messenger. And the two of you are definitely trusted messengers, to be able to open up all the complexities of how Black women are feeling this moment. I do this 9 to 5, right? And I still am unpacking a Vice President Kamala Harris, like literally 36 days away. I mean, she's already made history. And it's a couple of pieces. It's the people are waiting around and thinking that Black women are going to save us this time. And she's at the top of the save.
Glenda.
She's at the top
These
of the
Black
save.
ladies are not trying to save anybody.
Right?
But they understand they understand the assignment. But it's crazy.
And that's a frame that people have framed around us, right? Including, you now think the world is on fire, so it is actually she can step and take the keys. There's so many things to unpack about this moment. I think we're very clear about we vote values. And then I think you're correct. We vote at the intersection of all of the issues, right? We don't have the luxury to be a one issue voter. And so the economy, being able to talk about the economy and where that connects to Black women across the social economic spectrum is more important than ever, right? It is the cost of things, right? Data points to that Black women, regardless, we're actually doing better in this democracy, but we can't feel it because as soon as we got a little more coin, gas is more or the eggs are more. And so did they talk a little bit about kind of this the everyday burdens of kind of like living both as a, you know, it's someone that had a household with kids, but also, you know, the single ladies with, you know, no children but a cat, or I happen to be no children and no cat. So I don't know what
You are a
JD
childless
Vance
cat
cat
and
list
childless,
and
you just a
plantless
childless lady. No cats,
and
no dogs, no
plantless.
nothing. You know, in our conversation that we had in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, what struck me by that conversation is that there were women there who were obviously who were married. There were some younger women who were single and like freshly had their master's degree and were concerned about the economy in that way. Who said that they're looking at the things right in front of them. So it's kind of hard to think 20, 30 years from now. One of the young women, Clark, who I think we've been playing this in the promos, she says that she just graduated with her master's. And of course, we were like, yes, Clark. But then she said out of the 20 people in her class, only 5 got a job. And for some people, that may be like, okay, and Clark, but you got a master's. But what the undertone to that is, you know, somebody's paid a lot of money, maybe her parents, maybe a scholarship for her to go to school, and she spent this time, and now because of the state of the job market in many spaces or places, it's so competitive, they cannot get a job. Well, if you can't get a job in the field that you've just spent your time working in, what do you do? Where do you go? And you can't make the level of money. When I graduated, you know, the first time I could vote, first presidential election was 2008 for me. And then when I graduated into a recession. Someone paid a lot of money for me I went to a Jesuit Catholic college or university. Someone paid a lot of money for 4 years for me to go to school, only for me to graduate, barely making enough to what would have covered my one semester of my schooling. That is the reality of some younger people. You know, home ownership feels unattainable for them. And for some of the more seasoned, affluent women who didn't have children, right? But whose friends maybe were going through IVF and were concerned about the current IVF conversation, these women who talked about living in the suburbs and people assuming that they don't belong there, or that they are a visitor, or they feel othered in their own community. Talking about the various issues, I just appreciated, and Melissa noted this too, that the women were so honest and sincere with their analysis. We talked about gun ownership. This part I don't think makes it into the special. We're gonna have to do an extended cut, but many of the women in Bluebell talked about how now they've become gun owners within the last, couple of years. They've gone and got licenses. So at the end of that segment, I think we do a toast and we talk about they didn't know y'all own guns and live in the suburbs. And that is why we talked about that, because they brought it up. They said more and more of their friends, their friends who are Black, are saying we too are, need to just make sure that we are educated in all senses of the word. So it was just, I didn't think I anticipated some of the things that came up, but it was real.
Yeah, as you know, Black women on a monolith. I will say that again. I'm getting ready, literally, where I'm leaving here to head over to the Connecticut Black Women Lead Day Party, and I will say, and they're watching this live now. That my girls in Connecticut have their license.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think being able to just talk about the breadth and depth of Black women and who we are, and really our motivations for this cycle. And so I want to just end on my appreciation. Like when I say literally, you are one of the architects for this moment, right? Your voice and your leadership. When you decided to step in and go inside to the administration, I remember your last day, if you remember, the vice president hosted a conversation with Black women. And you
Yes,
said,
yes.
what?
Oh my God, Glenda, yes. And you were there,
Yeah.
yes.
And then you were like, what better last day? And some of the color girls who do policy were there as well. And it was the notion that you allowed it to be the spirit of what the Biden Harris administration wanted to be, which was a house. It's the people's house. And you certainly did that for everyday people, but certainly for the many advocates that are here. So as you can hear, the sound is starting to bubble up from the day party, but we really appreciate your leadership. I'm excited about tonight. And I'm excited to continue to make sure you're uplifting our voices in every space you are in.
Thank you, Glenda. Thank you, Higher Heights. I appreciate you and April and just the entire team and the work that you all do. For y'all who are out there who are at the day party, I'm gonna have a cocktail for y'all when I get off of here. But truly, the work that Higher Heights is doing, it makes a difference and it matters. It's an honor to join Sunday Brunch today. I appreciate you guys.
Great. Thank you. And we'll see you in the TV streets tonight.
See y'all tonight at 9 p.m.
So, yeah, I am headed to the hashtag Black Women Lead Sunday brunch and day party here in my hometown. You can hear the noise bubbling up in the background. We're going to toss it to my conversation with the Congresswoman from New Jersey, LaMonica McIver. And then you're going to hear from Detroit voters. And then I'll be back to close to tell you what our plan is for you to volunteer and to make a difference in the next 36 days to move this country to higher heights. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes in another location with a real live brunch. And this is going to be the feel you're going to see every Sunday. It's going to be a mixture of live conversations with guests like Simone Sanders Townsend, some pre-taped opportunities for us to literally have you hear what voters have to say in the streets. And then we're going to go live at all of our activations across this country. So take a look of our conversation with the newest congressional member from New Jersey. I am so excited to be in conversation with the newest member of the House of Representatives, hailing from the great state of New Jersey. She's put her name in for consideration and ran a good race for a special election to replace the late Donald Payne for New Jersey's Congressional District 10. She was and led boldly as the council president, Newark Council president. And so we're so excited for you to meet and learn a little about who she is so that you can tune in and watch the bold leadership as she not only finishes this term in the House of Representatives, but she will be on the ballot this November to step into her own full term in 2025. So please meet Congresswoman LaMonica McIver. And let me say it again so y'all have it right. She said it's like MacGyver, but with an I, McIver.
Thank you, Glenda. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on today on Sunday Brunch with you. I hope all is well. I see you've been extremely busy. I am enjoying your journey and everything that you're working on in higher heights. So thank you for all that you do, my sister. It's definitely appreciated.
Yeah. And she's a perfect example of you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And so she certainly has had a great community leadership journey and then, ran for Newark City Council and has done some really great things in city government. And so when there was an unfortunate opportunity, which became an unfortunate incident that became an opportunity for you to move your leadership to higher heights, you decided to run for Congress. So I'm going to start with this iconic photo that went all around the internet. I got it from a bunch of people because it's so inspiring. Like, you can't be who you don't see. And in every day, you have a little girl that looks up to you in your leadership. But that little eye, and I'm going to put my glasses on because I was a little girl that wore glasses, to see her look up at you while you were being sworn in this past Monday. Tell us not only what it meant to see her look up and be part of your swearing in, but also what does that picture really represent for you?
So it was, definitely it was a beautiful picture. I didn't really see it till after the fact, after you kind of get through all of the, motions on that Monday that I was going through, and everyone was sending it the next day. It really just gave me, if I could just think of one word and seeing it, it kind of resonated with inspiration for me, hope and inspiration, because at the end of the day, it's just like you said, our little girls, our brown and black little girls, they need to be able to see examples of what they can be. And it also resonates to one of my favorite quotes, that's from James Baldwin, which is, "Our crowns have already been paid for. We just have to put them on." It's something that, is always one of my favorite quotes, because people have paid a tremendous amount of sweat, blood, and tears for us to be here, for me to be in this moment. I didn't get here, just on my own. My ancestors is the reason why we are able to do what we can do, why I'm able to do what I can do. So really, it was just, the hopes and inspirations of those who, paved the way for us to be here. For my little Black daughter, 8 years old, going on 50, to be able to sit there and look up at me and smile and have a moment of pride really meant a lot for me. And the moment was definitely one that's really kind of unexplainable, but one that definitely stayed within our family for a long time.
Yeah. And so you also, I mean, I think what connects to that is your background is in youth organizing and human resource leader and a nonprofit leader. Black women come to this work, wanting to be elected leaders because we come with that diverse background, right? It's different than our white counterparts, and often looking at, a body that has been historically very white and very male, very business oriented, or as you know, our country was founded, our elected leaders were owners. And so your voice in a time where we're looking at what's next beyond global pandemic, and a generation of young people that were socialized online and educated online, I think your unique background is needed. So share a little bit about how your approach of your journey to elected leadership through your service as a nonprofit leader and a youth organizer, how you're going to approach governing.
So one of the reasons why I got involved in politics at age 10 was because I was interested, I was curious. I had a teacher at the time who was running for office, and we all were in fifth grade, like, what is that? What does running for office mean? And he was like, hey, the campaign headquarters is right up the street. You guys can come and check it out for yourselves. And I went and I fell in love, with it, primarily because I was a little 10-year-old and I was able to, tell adults, hey, are you registered to vote? Are you getting out to vote? And I don't know, something about that authority and being able to do that as a 10-year-old definitely lit something in me. But also too, that teacher lost that election that year, and we stayed in the community. We did clothing drives, we did voter registration drives, food drives, to stay active in the community. And for me, that was the moment I found my purpose, of what I wanted to do, what I love to do. And I stayed doing it throughout my entire education, even throughout college, which inspired me to start my own nonprofit organization. Because through this organizing, I met so many women and men, but primarily women, who really helped mold me, through every level of life. And I thought, hey, I have to give back. Like, we have to create an organization that could be able to do the same thing. And, me and my best girlfriend at the time, we created this organization that turned into, a major girls conference that we did every year. We helped open up a women and girls community center in partnership with the city of Newark. And it's still thriving today, still a safe space for women and girls to be empowered. And so, really, I found my purpose as a young person. And hopefully, I hope my daughter is finding that as well, through what she sees in me. But definitely, it gave me that spark that went 20 years plus, to the point of fast forward into 2018, when a open seat became available in my community, and I decided to run, primarily because there was only one woman on the council. The other woman had departed, and she was running for mayor. But I'm like, oh no, we can't be in a city that's majority ran by a head of household of women, mostly women voters, and we don't have any women, and we don't have any young women. We have to, or young people, in general, on the council. And so that's why I decided to run. And it really worked out for me, and I hope that I inspired other young people, and I don't mean young people like under 18, I mean young people under
Mhm.
40, to be engaged in the civic process and really, understand and be informed about what's happening politically.
Yeah, I think we're living in a season where we are going to see everyone's looking at the youth vote and this increase in voter registration. I do think we're going to see a next season of very civically engaged young people. But I also think in this season, and you're part of this narrative, we're going to see. There's been since Higher Heights was founded a record number of women running in every election cycle. This cycle, for the first time, it isn't a record number, but it's the type of women and the type of offices that we are running that has built the pathway to have women running for the highest office or running for congressional seats that historically hasn't had a Black woman at being named as a top contender. And so I look forward to the possibilities of 2025 and beyond, the amount of young Black women who are going to run for office, and frankly, women like you who are ready and primed to run for higher office. So share a little bit about your time in the Newark City Council. What um, is the body of work that you're most proud of? And is that inspiring some of the priorities you will continue in Washington?
Absolutely. So the top three things that I'm super proud of as the councilwoman and the Central Ward and council president, one was around our ability to create more affordable housing here in the city. We did a lot of that work sometimes without a partnership, at the federal level, less dollars. We got creative on the local level to be able to use our tax abatement system to be able to, enforce, developers to build more affordable housing and fight for lower AMI, area medium income, housing for our folks here in the city of Newark. So definitely that's something I'm looking to take to DC, because we need help from our federal agencies like HUD to be able to invest in affordable, low income and workforce housing. Is definitely needed, and it's a shortage. Second thing was our ability to reimagine public safety, especially through the George Floyd era and everything that happened with that. We were able to really put some new initiatives on community policing and start a Office of Violence Prevention to deal with the issues that were happening within our community. Super proud of that. Really looking forward to doing more work around that at the federal level. And lastly was our ability to change all of our lead service lines here in the city. We're an old city. We were built a long time ago, and we had to do that without federal support. Over $20 million bonded, changed over 28,000 lead service lines in over 18 months during COVID. So definitely infrastructure is a big thing for me, coming from local government and now going to the federal level. Really look to do some great work and work on that at the federal level.
Right. So you've entered into a body that is in itself can be politically toxic. But you
Yes,
are also stepping into a mighty network of colleagues. And then within that network, you stepped into a body of the Congressional Black Caucus and an increase in the number of Black women who've served since 2014, right? You are like adding to the number. And I know those women, they are, they span age, right? We have such an amazing diversity in the age and of the Black women that are currently serving in Congress, including like the aunties, Auntie Maxine and that generation of leaders, to the very young, bold, fearless leaders who are frankly, a little younger than you. And so I think that's an exciting time. And so just share a little bit about just, your experience of, them welcoming you in and being part of, like I said, a growing mighty body who've been the conscience of Congress. And so I'm excited to hear how you're ready to them helping you set up your office. I mean, there's lots of things you need to do in the next couple of, days and hours.
for sure. Well, I mean, definitely meeting them during the CBC swearing in. All of them were coming over to me like, "Hey, we started off with this number. Now we're here. Like, we're so happy to have you." I mean, just the ability to, hear their excitement for me being there. It was a long but short journey getting here, to this point of being sworn into Congress. So to finally see these amazing women that I look up to, like Auntie, I call her Aunt, Queen Auntie Maxine, to see her in person and talk with her. I mean, it was just like a surreal moment, to be able to, just chat with her. These are icons and legends who have been fighting for us before it was popular to fight, before it was popular for Black women to run for office. And so to meet them and talk with them and just know of the possibilities that we have to kick some butt, and get what we need to get for, the folks that we serve. It was just an exciting time. And I'm really looking forward to working with each and every one of those women. They have just tremendous, great qualities and characteristics. And I know we're going to do some great things. And they've already been doing great things. And so I'm looking forward to joining that force and learning and working together and collaborating, because that's what it's about. I always say my middle name is collaboration and partnership. And I'm really looking forward to working with them to get what we need to get done for this country.
Yeah. And so as we embark on this final drive to the end of voting, what do you and you move to your full term, what are the things that we can help you support the women and the allies that are watching today? How can we support you in this moment? And more importantly, we always talk about we can't support women running for office if we actually don't do the work of creating an environment for you to lead boldly and govern in a innovative way. We ultimately support Black women like you because we know that your understanding of policy and how it uniquely impacts our communities make you a great governing partner every time you drive down, take the train down to the chamber in Washington.
So I think Higher Heights has been amazing to me. They were one of the first, you guys were one of the first organizations that endorsed my candidacy and gave me a couple of dollars for the race. That's always important. I think that's why a lot of Black women deter, a lot of women in general deter from running from office, because the difficulty of raising dollars and getting money to do so is just hard. I mean, I had to raise over $400,000 in just 15 weeks, short of that. So I think, environments like this, platforms like this help us, to be able to get our messaging out, help people to see us, so that they say, hey, I want to donate and contribute to her journey. I want to make an investment. I always say it's an investment. And us Black women, we deserve investment dollars, on our future and our abilities to be able to lead. So I would just say, continuing to invite me to these platforms, continuing to give me some advice as you do, Glenda, as you send me those little pearls of wisdom, and everyone, who has just been amazing from the Higher Heights team. Just advice and, contributions and platforms like this has really helped me to raise up to this point. And I'm hoping to be successful in November as well, our entire ticket to be successful. And I really want to work hard to help other women. I want to be dedicated to this work because I see firsthand how difficult it is for women to get elected to office and the challenges that we have. So I'm locked in for life, in terms of helping more Black women, get across that finish line. And as I say, like, we want to run for office, but we also have to be strategic about how we run for office and what we do and how we prepare ourselves up into that point of getting there. And so I'm really looking forward to having more conversation with folks that are looking to get into public office, and how I can, give what I've learned to them and hope that it can help them be successful.
Yeah. And then be clear, like I said it before, she said it as the Congresswoman was talking. This is a woman who went from, as Shirley Chisholm says, doing the work on the sidelines to support our communities, to her interest in how then can she take that skill set from a policy perspective. And she wasn't just a city council person, right? She was the city council um member of the city council members, right? And was the president of a large city's city council, which is important, moving millions. Are y'all at what? I'm a New Yorker. Like, y'all move what? Millions, billions,
And
hundreds
we
of
have
billions?
millions of millions of dollar budget, big budget that we just passed last week, by the way. But
Which
yeah,
what you were doing last
exactly.
week, literally.
Yes, literally doing that last week. And youngest woman to lead the council, youngest elected official to be elected to the Newark Municipal Council, and the youngest woman to join the delegation here in New Jersey. So only second Black woman, and I just hope that it inspires more to get in this game with me to, really get out there and help me do this work. So come on, y'all, we got work to do.
Yeah, and I think that was an important distinction of, like, you've done the work, you are qualified, experienced, and then here at Higher Heights, you put all that all together in the package of a bold Black woman. It makes us make some noise. So make some noise and send her some well wishes in the chat right now. So before we end, because you are, being introduced to this mighty community of people who are going to support you, right? Continue, our political action committee dollars come from the money that our Black women and our allies from this country send, from $3 at a pop to, $1,000 at a pop. But we also pray. We also lift our voices on social media to support bold leaders like you, and we volunteer. But we also want to know a little bit about you. Like, what song are you rocking right now? Like, when you were going down on Monday, what's the song you rocking?
Oh man, well, I was rocking a whole playlist. Honestly, I was listening to some Jersey Club. I mean, Jersey do house music very well. So I was like rocking out to all of the house jams, just getting pumped up and ready and going down. So I was on that note. But definitely, always Beyonce always gives me what I need, to get going. I think like the Freedom song is just like stuck and ingrained now in everything that I do, because that's just where my space is at right now. But definitely when I was going down, house music, y'all know Jersey, got it going on. DC got that go-go, but we got the house music in Jersey. So that's what I was bumping on my playlist.
Well, like I said, we are here to be a support for these final days, but more importantly, where you need an army of Team Higher Heights around all of the things that we believe you're going to step into and lead in this next Congress. I mean, there's a lot of, as you know, it's the end of Congress. It's the end of this Congress, and so there's going to be some things bubbling in and out while people are trying to win elections from the top of the ticket down. But we also know we want you to hit the ground running in the next Congress. And we want to continue to invite you back to Sunday Brunch. But also, whenever you need support, just holler, and the Higher Heights Network will be there to be supportive.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Glenda. And thank you, Higher Heights. Thank you to all of the supporters. Keep supporting Higher Heights. We need each and every one of you to support this organization. Thank you guys so much.
So, as you know, we have hit the ground running. We were in Michigan last week, and I almost went, I didn't go across the state, but I hit some places. I was in Detroit and I went to Saginaw, where I was the keynote speaker for the NAACP Freedom Fund. But last week, our very own Vice President of Programs, Ebony Taylor, who is from Detroit, sat down with Detroit voters, some amazing Black women, to talk about this election cycle and their vision of what they believe they want to see in our next leaders, and how that connects to ensuring that they have all they need to thrive and survive in Detroit. So take a look at the conversations.
Talk about the role that Black women play in moving the needle for a Harris presidency.
Absolutely. Black women will be the backbone of the Harris campaign and pushing her over the edge, because, as we know, the linchpin of any election is Black women. Whether it's your local, your statewide, and especially in the presidential, right? Even when we think about how Kamala Harris got to the position to be the VP is because Black women came together and demanded that a Black woman be in that seat. We demanded for Ketanji to ascend to this great court. So I think we are the linchpin to make sure that Kamala Harris reaches the highest heights that she can as the president, next president of the United States of America.
And in that same vein, I kind of know where you might go with this, but in the same vein, how are you feeling about the two candidates for president? How do you feel about Trump? How do you feel about Harris?
Well, as far as Trump, not only as like a Black woman from Detroit, also a Haitian of Haitian descent, my father's Haitian. So I feel like this election is especially triggering, right? We hear all these horrible cultural tropes that really are not just dog whistles for Haitian, but for Black people, period. The dog whistles around Black women. And the cat ladies and women who try to ascend to other levels and to succeed and reach, you know, different types of goals than just a wife and a mother, right? Not to say that's not important, but we are so much more, right? Multi-dimensional layered experiences is how we like to describe women, me and my friends. So I really feel as though Kamala is the moment. You know, and my daughter, she is, you know, Gen Z, she's brand. Like, she's a
I still don't get right, by the way.
I don't.
I literally do not get it, but it's okay. We're going to go with it.
And my daughter said, don't ask, it's not free. I said, oh, shit. That's it. But absolutely, I think she is the moment, and she's just really showing where we are not only as a nation, but as Black women, that we are on the precipice of leading and want to take over and know that for things to move forward, you need us at the table. And if you want things to go right, you gotta have us at the table. So I think she's representative of that moment of what I see all of the wonderful Black women around me doing. And Trump, we need to just wrap that chapter and close that book.
Okay, turn the page. Thank you for that.
How do you feel about Harris? How do you feel about Trump?
Yeah, so let's start with Trump, Sally. We saw exactly who Trump was during the term that he got, that's all that he needs. But we saw a dictator. We saw someone who did not unite us, who divided us. And that is not a place that we as a country should be.
Yeah.
And I think that is just not the person we want. We want a leader. We want someone who can bring us together, who is advocating for all citizens, right? Not just some of the select few who agree with his ways and messaging and other choice words. But it is a million reasons of why not. As for Trump, but I think if we shift and look at Vice President Harris and her looking to ascend to the presidency, right? I think initially how things happened with Biden initially being the front runner, looking for re-election, the timing, it definitely made me question things. It made me question, how are we going to do this and how are we going to get there in such a short window, right? We needed to learn more about her, right? We needed to tell the rest of the country who weren't as informed about her and get them informed about her stance and her policies. And I think I questioned if we actually had time. I have took a back seat a little bit in this campaign, this election cycle, but I have observed that things are moving and some tactics are working. Not only because she's a Black woman am I excited to see this, but I think that this overall is just a different candidate for the United States of America. And sometimes we need diversity to be able to appeal to others and be able to advocate for those who hadn't previously felt like their voices were heard.
Yeah.
So,
And speaking of voices being heard, what issues are you taking with you? Because voting is a way that we make our voices heard. What issues are front of mind for you as you go cast your vote this November 5th? Less than 60 days away.
yeah, so for me, my heart has always been in education, right? Public education. That is how I got my start as a young high schooler in this work. And just understanding how that is the avenue to creating so many opportunities, right? That is our foundation. And our youth deserve that. And
Yeah.
even if we look higher in higher education, we deserve to be educated as people and access and minimizing barriers to be to get a quality education is important for me, as well as economic stability.
Yeah.
Right. Right now we're in some unprecedented times, and we have been for a while. A lot of my adulthood has been in unprecedented times. So I look at my parents and I'm like, okay, you guys lived a totally different life, you know, according to different standards. And for my peers to build and to buy a home and to just be able to
Yeah.
afford day-to-day things, that is a lot of times a big question mark for not only myself but my peers, right? So looking at who can bring our economy and just make it more stable, I guess.
Yeah.
I think those for me are top two. I'm sure I have a lot of many issues that I'm big on, but I think for me overall, just and I might be a dreamer here, but wanting to see us all be able to work a little bit more collaboratively as a country,
Yeah.
and be able to live up to the values that we say that we possess.
Well, this is a very special conversation. Thank you so much, Mom, for taking your time out, taking the time out to have this conversation with Higher Heights. On
Yes.
behalf of Higher Heights, we appreciate your leadership. I personally appreciate your leadership. I appreciate that you have always been a Black woman who leads, always have been a person and a woman that I've looked up to my entire life, and I still do, especially in terms of motherhood. I'm still trying to get to your level. So we thank you so much. Again, on behalf of Higher Heights, we just thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
And
My
can you state your full name, how long you have been a Detroiter or a Michigander, and also talk about your profession, and then end with, I am a Black woman who leads.
I am Joyce Wells. I've been a Detroiter for 71 years. I retired from Detroit Public Schools 14 years ago. And presently, I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm a Black woman who leads.
Yes.
All the time.
All the time. So what role do you feel Black women play in terms of moving the needle on a Harris presidency? What role do you feel Black women are playing to get her into office?
If you want to get something positive done, you go to a Black woman. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's going on. It is tremendous. It is so inspiring how Black women all over the country are coming together for Vice President Harris. And that will continue.
How are you feeling about the two candidates for the two presidential candidates? How are you feeling about Vice President Harris, and how do you feel about the other candidate, Donald Trump, former President Trump?
Former President Trump shouldn't even be on the ballot. Every time I look at him and look at his ads, I think of the insurrection, and he was the sitting president at the time. How could you cause an insurrection to your own country? There is no comparison of these two candidates. Vice President Harris is a leader. Her background, you know, we're all familiar with her background, and of course, her present position as vice president. She is the qualified candidate, period.
Absolutely. So with that being said, what are some of the issues? I mean, they certainly, right, they're on totally different ends of the spectrum as far as,
Yeah.
right, the issues. What are some of the issues as a lifelong Detroiter, as a retiree, as a current business owner? What are some of the issues that you're taking with you as you go to either early vote or vote on election day or vote by mail? But what are you thinking about as you cast your ballot?
What I'm thinking about, several things: economics, and the vice president relates to the masses, I feel, economically. I'm thinking of small business expansion because I'm a small business owner. I'm thinking of seniors, and it's wonderful that the Biden-Harris partnership brought about the $35 cap on insulin. That is tremendous. That's tremendous for seniors. So that's what I'm thinking about going to the polls: economics, small businesses, and seniors who have worked so hard being treated fairly.
Those are all important issues. Thank you. How are you feeling as we stand at the cusp of this moment? How does it feel to be a Black woman, to have seen so much and have gone through so much personally? You've seen a lot in politics. You've seen a lot change in terms of policy. How does it feel to be, for us, for this country to stand to be at the precipice of a Black woman as the president of the United States?
It feels wonderful. And I guess I really have to say, I never thought of this day coming. And I know that can kind of sound cliche-ish, but when people were surprised when we had our first Black president, I was not surprised. I knew that would happen. But I do have to admit, I never really saw this coming for a Black woman. So I'm just overjoyed, overjoyed to even to the point of canvassing. And I've done a lot of canvassing. I've done a lot of community work with grassroots organizations. But I'm just overjoyed. And I'm overjoyed because she is qualified. And frankly, it should have happened before now. I mean, when you really look at it, when you really look at qualified Black women. So I'm just overjoyed about it.
Yeah. Can you talk about the Black women that you hold with you, that you hold in your heart, that you hold in your mind, that you keep in the forefront of your mind, right? I have an idea as your daughter who those people might be, but who are the people that, as you lead, as you go canvas, as you show up for your community, as you show up at block clubs and the things that I know that you do, who are you keeping in the forefront of your mind as an example of Black women in leadership?
Well, I'm looking at who's in the forefront of my mind. My daughter, you.
Aw.
You have been so inspirational, not only to me, but to others in your work. And I have to say this quickly.
Oh boy.
When you were 7 years old, maybe 8, and we were at the doctor's office, cold, snowy Detroit Saturday, and a bunch of little kids, runny noses, fevers, the whole 9 yards, and you brought them together in the corner of the waiting room. And I'm apologizing to parents. And they said, leave her alone, leave her alone. They're quiet for a little while. Let her do her thing. So I look at that and I look at you now. And I guess that day at the doctor's office should have told me that this is what you'll always do. You will be a Black woman that leads. So you are that person. And my mother is that your grandmother is that person, because my mother, I think of those days coming home and she multitask. Her beauty shop was in the basement. She's upstairs in the kitchen cooking the dinner. She's got a load of clothes in the wash. She did it all. And that's not even talking about her gardening. So I just
raising
hope,
kids.
and of course, raising the 4 of us. So I hold my mother so close in my heart, and my daughter. And you know, there's other women, but we only have so much time.
Yes,
So
we only have so much time.
there's many other women that have influenced me and planted seeds for my kids and so forth and so on.
Yes. Thank you so much, Commissioner Bell, for joining us. Can you talk about what it means for Black women to show up in this moment? What are Black women tasked with in terms of getting Vice President Harris into the presidency?
Absolutely. You know, we're going to do what we always do. As you know, Black women always show up.
Yes.
We show up. We're behind the scenes. You know, I'm going to date myself and say we were licking the envelopes, putting the things in the mail, you know, back in those days. We're always behind the candidates that we believe in. So we're going to continue to do what we always do, what we know how to do, and that's to get people elected. Being in Detroit, I've been blessed that we have had so many strong women leaders. So I've grown up seeing Joanne Watson, seeing Carolyn Chase Kilpatrick, seeing Irma Henderson. All of those women are the shoulders that I stand on, you know, and I'm so glad that being from Detroit, I've had that opportunity. So what we're going to do for this election, now that we have a Black woman running for the highest office in the country, we are going to show up and get her elected. That's what we're going to do.
Yes, ma'am. Can you talk about the 2 candidates, right? We know we've already mentioned one. How do you feel about Kamala Harris? How do you feel about Donald Trump?
I love Kamala Harris. You know, when she ran for president the first time, she was in my top 2. I will tell you, I love Cory Booker. I love Kamala Harris. They both asked me to endorse them. I said, that's like choosing between my brother and my sister. You know, I love them both. So I've been following her career for a long time. She's amazing as a senator. She's been amazing as a vice president, and she's going to be amazing as president. The issues that she stands for are the issues that are important to us as Black women: reproductive rights, and reproductive freedom, making sure that we're safe with criminal justice. Got a prosecutor, so she understands keeping us safe and what it means to put people behind the bars who deserve to be there. But those who don't deserve to be there, she understands fighting programs to help them be productive as well. And, you know, we have a current person, the other person that's running, who has been convicted of felonies, who is, to me, unfortunately, he's shown himself to not have the character that I would say a president should have. The way he talks about and mocks people, even during his last 2 campaigns, he would mock the handicapped and give racist views on things. He just does not have the character, I believe, to hold the highest office of the land. So we compare the 2, there's no comparison, and it's very troubling how the election is still so close. I just really don't understand that. We have such different types of people. Forget party, just look at them as people. So it's very concerning that it's even this close. But I know we're going to pull together. We're going to do again like we do with Black women and make it happen.
And so my next question, you started to mention this, right? What are some of the issues that you're taking with you? What are some of the concerns you have that are front of mind for you as you go to vote on November 5th or early vote
Early vote.
or vote by mail.
Right, we
Those
have
are
options. We have
too.
options. Yes,
So,
yes.
what are some of the top issues you just mentioned? Reproductive justice and
Yes,
health.
yes,
Are
yes,
there
yes.
others that you're keeping in mind?
Well, we always want to talk about being safe and being a criminal justice reform of that. I've been doing a lot of work on the county when it comes to criminal justice reform with bail reform. So seeing what she does with that, and I know our issues align on that. Making sure again with reproductive health that's on top of mind for me as well. Just making sure our economy is running strong.
Yeah.
I think she has a great plan for our economy, making sure that we have, as she puts it, an opportunity economy for everyone to have an opportunity to just not survive, but to thrive. And that's what we all want. We want to lift everyone up. And she has a plan for that.
So this has been an amazing Sunday brunch with Higher Heights. I am live at the hashtag Black Women Lead Day Party and Sunday brunch, and these women are writing postcards. I came in from my conversation with Simone, and they're almost done with our first round of postcards. And so this is what we're looking to do across this country. We will be in Michigan next week, North Carolina the week after, Georgia, Pennsylvania. I've got it all out of order, but we will drop it in so that you can watch us every Sunday brunch at home. Next week, we're kicking off our at-home engagement. And so next week, bring a friend and you will be able to help organize your network and voters across this country. And stay tuned for our National Day of Sunday Brunches. We are planning something so special in the final 14 days. And so thank you to our guests. Remember to tune in to watch tonight's special with our very own Simone Sanders Townsend talking to Black women. So until next week, thank you for being Black women who lead. And for those who are investing and supporting us, thank you for rocking with us. Have a great rest of the day.